Hey guys, Mr. Riz here, and I'm going to help you out with the 2.4 and 2.6 review for Algebra 2. So let's get this started. Let's go through this. Remember, at any time during this, you can pause, you can open up Desmos, rewind the video to go over each part. But this is going to be very similar to what you guys see on your test that you guys will take. And make sure you guys are ready for this. All right, here we go. Let's solve the first problem. Use square roots to solve the equation x squared equals negative 121. Okay, so if we wanted to go ahead and solve this, we'd take the square root of both sides and get x equals plus or minus the square root of negative 121. Remember, anytime we take the square root of a negative, we're going to have an I, an imaginary unit. All we need to do, excuse me, fighting a sneeze here. I think we're all better now. All we need to do here is take the square root of 121, which is 11. So the answer should be plus or minus, you know what? I just realized you guys couldn't see that because I'm using that one. Let's try that again. Okay, if we wanted to solve this, we need to take the square root of negative 121. Anytime we take the square root, we get a I, an imaginary unit, and the square root of negative 120 or 121 is 11. So this would be 11I, plus or minus 11I. Let's see how well my answer key is. Okay, next, what is the product of 3i times 5 minus 3i? Well, all we need to do is distribute this and treat it like an exponent here. So 3i times 5 is 15i, and then 3i times negative 3i is a negative 9i squared. What we need to remember here is that the I squared is a negative 1, so this becomes plus 9, and so the answer in the proper format should be 9 plus 15i. Type that in. 9 plus 15i. Okay. Okay, so next we got a quotient here. Okay, if we were going to go ahead and solve this, what we would need to do first is to take the 5 divided by 3 minus I and multiply it by the conjugate 3 plus I on the top and on the bottom. All right, so if we distribute the top here, we'd get 15 plus 5i. And now on the bottom, we could write this out, but this is a conjugate. And so we have to remember a trick. 3 times 3 is 9. Now in the middle, we'll get a positive 3i and then a negative 3i, which will cancel each other out. And so then we just have a negative I times a positive I, which is a negative I squared or a plus 1. So this answer comes out to be a 15 plus 5i over 10. All we need to do lastly is just to see, does this reduce? Can we divide all of those by the same number? We sure can. We can divide them all by 5. So this should be a 3 plus 1i all over 2. So 3 plus 1i over 2. Okay, next. Write the quotient in the form. Okay, so let's see. Same problem here, just maybe a little bit more complicated. So 39 minus 2i over 6 minus 5i. Okay, so we need to multiply the top and bottom both by 6 plus 5i. All right, so let's take care of the bottom. The bottom, let's do the conjugate trick. 6 times 6 is 36. Negative 5 times negative 5 becomes a negative 5i squared, which becomes a plus, or not 25. 25. Now on the top here, let's do some math. All right, what's 39 times 6? Geez, Riz, really picked a tough one. So that's what, 180 plus 54, 234. All right, then 39 times 5. Oh man, what is that? 390 cut in half. Oh man, why did I pick such crazy hard numbers? All right, grab a calculator if you need to. I can figure this out. 390 cut in half is 195. And then in the middle, negative 2i times 6 would be negative 12i. And then negative 2 times the negative or positive 5i becomes a negative 10i squared. All right, 36 plus 25, that would be a 61. And then what happens here in the middle? We know this would become a plus 10. So 234 plus 10 is 244. And then we would get a positive, okay, if I subtract 12, that'd be a 183i. Now here's where it gets real crazy is we can actually divide these numbers by 61. 244 divided by 61 is 4. 183 divided by 61 is 3. So the answer is 4 plus 3i. Wow, what a crazy journey that we got on. And it just came out to be simple answer. So 4 plus 3i. All right. Solve by completing the square. We'll answer from lowest to highest. Okay. So when we complete the square, we double check. If I take this middle number, cut it in half, and square it, do I get that? I sure do. So we can write this as, all right, this would be x plus 10, because 20 cut in half is 10, 10 squared is 100, so it does work out perfectly. All right, so if we take the square root of both sides, we get x plus 10 equals plus or minus the square root of 49, which means x plus 10 would equal plus or minus the square root of 49 is 7. So to find our answer, we just need to minus the 10 over. So negative 10 plus or minus 7. So negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. Negative 10 minus 7 is negative 17. So there should be our two answers. Negative 17 and negative 3. That's the lowest to highest. Okay. Oh, you know what? I just realized that this problem is not the right. It's the same thing above. All right, so let me pause the video and let me edit this to make sure we are doing this right. Okay, now we got to figure it out. Okay, I got the right expression here. Let's see what we need to do to complete the square. If I take 2, cut it in half, it doesn't work out. So we're going to minus the 10 over. And we get x squared plus 2x plus blank equals negative 10 plus blank. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to figure out what this blank would be. If I take 2, cut it in half is 1, 1 squared is 1. So this should be x squared, or x, see, negative 9, and this would be x plus 1 in the middle here. 2 cut in half is 1. All right, so if I square root both sides, I get x plus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of negative 9. The square root of negative 9, all we got to do is think about, okay, it's the square root of a negative, so it's going to be I. The square root of 9 is 3, so it's plus or minus 3i. All we need to do to solve is just to minus that 1 over in front of it, so it should be x equals negative 1 plus or minus 3i. Okay, next, use the quadratic formula to solve. Okay, let's clear all my drawings here. So, and this might get a little messy here just on the screen, but let's start at x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that'd be 25, minus 4 times a is 1 times c is 8, all over 2 times 1. All right, so we get negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 4 times 1 is 4 times 8 is 32, all over 2. So we get a negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 7 over 2. The only thing we can do here is just make the square root of negative 7 I. So we get negative 5 plus or minus I radical 7 over 2. All right, so let's see how well my answer key is. It could be a 1i as well if you want to use that. All right, next, okay, let's solve this one by the quadratic formula. This one, it seems to come out a little bit nicer. Just looking at what the answer key is set up to be. So we got x equals negative b, so that'd be a positive 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that'd be 16, minus 4 times a is 1 times c is negative 2, all over 2 times a is 1. So we would get, let's see, 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 8 over 2. 16 plus 8, that would be 24. What we need to do is just break that down. All right, what's the square root of 24 break down to? 4 times 6, 2 and 3, 2 and 2. So we have a 2 that gets to break out of jail. The 3 and 6 stay inside, so we get 4 plus or minus 2 radical 6 over 2. So the only thing we need to do now is to see if we can divide. We actually can. We can divide 4 by 2, and we can divide 2 by 2. So we get 2 plus or minus 1 radical 6. Now, if you wanted to do that by completing the square, you sure can. Might have been easier to do that, but 2 plus or minus radical 6. All right, use the quadratic to solve. Answer from the lowest to highest. Okay, so that means the answers must come out kind of nice, but the equation looks pretty scary. So let's take our time with this. We get x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared. That's 121 minus 4 times a is 4 times c is negative 3. All over 2a is 4. Okay, that's a lot, but take our time with it. All right, so we get 121. Now let's see. Negative 4 times negative 16 times negative 3 would be a positive 48. 2 times 4 is 8. So we get negative 11 plus or minus the square root of, that'd be 169, right? The square root of 169 is 13. So if I did negative 11 plus 13 divided by 8, let's see, that would be C2 divided by 8, which is 1/4. And the other problem here, negative 11 minus 13 divided by 8. Negative 11 minus 13 is negative 24. Divided by 8 is negative 3. So there are two answers. The lowest one is negative 3. The highest one is 1/4, or 0.25. Okay, a toy cannonball is launched from the top of a platform. The height equation is given like such. Gives the height in meters in the ball. What equation would be used to determine the ball if it reaches a height of 24? So that would be negative 15t squared plus 15t plus 10. See if that ever equals 24. Does the ball reach a height? So we could find out the time and determine if the time is real or not. Or if we want to know, if we just want to know whether the time is going to be real or if it's going to be imaginary, we can use the discriminant, the b squared minus 4ac. If this turns out to be a number that's bigger than 0, it's going to be a real answer. As long as this number is not negative, we would have a real solution. So let's see, b squared. 15 squared is 225. Minus 4 times a is negative 5. Now c, we actually have to subtract 24 over, and that would be a negative 14. We make this equal to 0. All right, so we get 225. All right, let's see. Negative 4 times negative 5 is 20. Times negative 14 is a negative 280. And so we'd get a negative 45, or not 45, negative 55. All right, this is a negative answer, meaning we would have an imaginary answer. So no, the ball will not reach a height. I think I already have my answer key set up wrong with that. Just looking at, okay. Next, determine if the equation has 1 real, 2 real, or 2 imaginary solutions. So we can use the discriminant to help us figure this out. B squared minus 4ac. So b squared, 6 squared is 36. Minus 4 times a is 9 times c is 1. So this would be 36 minus 36, which ends up being 0. So remember, if it's bigger than 0, if we got a positive, we'd have 2 real. If it's negative, we'd have 2 imaginary, but this is equal to 0, so that means we have just 1 real solution. All right, let's submit the quiz. Did my answer key mess up? I think I did. 7.5, let me guess the second to last one. Yep, that one should be a yes, and it isn't. So I will change my answer key right now while you guys are going over this and getting ready for the test. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys reach out and ask. If not, have a great day. See you next time.